made for moments like this.
You're watching live coverage of the Berkeley Bassmaster Elite at Lake Guntersville, sponsored by TH Marine.
Davey, I'm looking at a sheet of paper and it's telling me that this is the 7th stop of the Bassmaster Elite Series. Unbelievable, we're on our 7th stop here at the Berkeley Bassmaster Elite at Lake Guntersville, and look at your leaderboard. Caleb Coupal with 22 pounds, 4 ounces, went off to a big morning here on day number 1. This is the 7th stop of the year, but look out, we're in Alabama, and Steve Kendi, of course, in the mix every single time we come here. You got to watch out for that guy and so many others here on this beautiful fishery, Lake Guntersville in the great state of Alabama. Actually, the biggest lake in the entire state of Alabama, 69,000 acres, and just about every acre of that lake is full of giant Guntersville bass. And speaking of giants, I am joined by my uber accomplished compadre, the one and only Davey Hyde, of course, Bassmaster Classic champion, former 2-time Angler of the Year, 8 wins, and just an all-round good guy. But Davey, Lake Guntersville, it's hard to believe. I mean, it feels like home. We've been here 3 times within just a little over a year.
Well, it does, and you mentioned the size of the lake, but the great thing about it, you also mentioned so much of the water is fishable because it's shallow water, a lot of humps, a lot of bars, a lot of stumps, a lot of vegetation. It is fishing paradise. There's no doubt about it, Dave. And we've been here a lot. I fished a few tournaments here. You fished here some, and been the 3 tournaments here recently. They've all been at different times. A lot of different things going on, and definitely a lot of things going on today. Shad spawn, seen some top water fishing, some deep cranking, some spoon, some drop shot. I've seen all that already this morning with success.
Well, I was glued to the screen watching the crew from the Marathon Studio break it down this morning. So let's look at what our morning was. This, our Toyota midday report. And we'll start it off with, it's not good to be dangerous, but it's very good to be ZALDAIN.
It is, and Chris ZALDAIN got off to a slower start than maybe he wanted this morning, a 5:30 takeoff. That was a big deal for the guys that were starting on the shad spawn. But you had to land on them. This is the Tennessee River. It is Guntersville, but the Tennessee River flows through here. A lot of shad. There's more shad than there are bass, believe it or not. He got off to a little slower start, but he's been able to battle his way back currently with 11 pounds, 4 ounces. He's got that big spoon in his hand, and we've seen what that has done for him here in the past.
Spoon feeding them. The problem with that, though, is that can be exactly like his nickname, ZALDAINgerous. You can catch giants, but you can also lose a lot of fish.
Yeah, the bad part about that spoon is you will definitely lose some fish. It's so erratic, and that's what entices those fish. But a lot of times they're trying to eat it, and they won't, and you'll hook them on the outside of the mouth. But hopefully better luck for Chris today.
Who doesn't want to be leading Angler of the Year? Nobody on earth, but there's only one leader on the whole planet, and that is Seth FEIDER. And once again, catching him here, but you said earlier, we looked a little apprehensive this morning. You can feel that pressure ratcheting up, Davey.
You absolutely can, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's totally natural. Fortunately, I was able to be in that same situation, and I felt the same way. You can't help but think about it because, like you mentioned earlier, Dave, you're doing podcasts. People are constantly wanting to talk to you about, hey, what do you feel like? What would it mean to you to win Angler of the Year? And it's one of the greatest. It's debatable. Some of the anglers say it's even more prestigious to win Angler of the Year than it is the Bassmaster Classic. Either way, it's a life changer for Seth FEIDER or whoever holds that trophy up. It's a life changer.
Well, this is a guy who changes a lot of lives, and he better watch out because if Chris Johnson keeps catching him, he could shatter Seth FEIDER's dream of becoming Angler of the Year as they head north.
He could. Chris made a good move today, currently in 4th place, so made up a little ground on Seth, but if Seth keeps catching him, it's going to be hard for anyone once he built that lead up at the last event there at Neely Henry. But here's what was so cool this morning being out there, Dave. I saw people doing what they like to do. I saw Buddy Groves throwing a swim bait. I saw Dave Mullins throwing a crankbait, and I saw Chris Johnson throwing a drop shot, catching them.
Our rookies get better every year, improving that. It seems like every Toyota Midday Report includes a rookie, and this one, KJ Queen, once again.
Yeah, KJ got off to a good start this morning. Some bonus coverage with him. We didn't have one of our regular cameras with him, but thank goodness we got a camera on him when he went on this flurry here. So having a great day. I can't help but think about KJ not fueling his boat up in Orange, Texas at one time. So I'll always be a fan and be pulling for him to make up for that one little mistake in his rookie year. That's okay.
Two guys that really have an incredible track record on this body of water, of course. Frank Talley, our defending champion here, and Carl Jacobson, who just, I mean, I know he's from Toowoomba, Australia, and how much fun is that to say, but Guntersville feels like home to him.
It does, and we've seen him so many times, and has a good day, but then it's hard to put 4 days together no matter who you are, no matter where you are, but we had to put a camera with Carl Jacobson this morning because – man, when he has a good day on Guntersville, oftentimes with the glider or with some big swim bait, you know that he could crack 30 pounds. So always fun to watch Carl. A lot of fishing time left today. He's only got 2 fish at the live well right now, but we've seen Carl before right here at Guntersville. In 30 minutes, he could change everything.
Carl Jacobson fishing with a lot of pressure on his shoulders, and man, we talk about pressure for Angler of the Year. We talk about pressure for winning the Classic, for winning an event, for leading an event, for winning Rookie of the Year. But really, Dave, you got to feel the situation that Jacobson's in. With this being a cut year in the Elite Series, he's got more pressure than any of those titles.
You're right, Dave. And to be honest with you, I don't like to talk about that a lot. But at some point late in the year, it's almost like the guys that are in contention to win AOI, you don't want to talk about it. But it is reality. It is part of our sport. And there's a lot of pressure on these anglers to compete each and every day. And often if you have one bad day and it happens to be the first or the second day of the event, your whole event is down the hill.
Well, his slogan is "Fear My Heart," and he definitely lives up to that.
Yep. Good. Australia, I need some big fish vibes right now. Oh, it's been a bit of a struggle. This is what tournament fishing's all about. You know, it's 10 o'clock. I got 2 little ones in the well, and I can't let that affect the rest of my day. I've got 4.5 hours. I've got lots of stuff up my sleeve. I just need to make one right decision now. I'm just trying to rack my brain on what that is. You know, I have a big row of docks that I caught some really big ones on the glide, and I had some bites on them, and that's where a lot of my biggest bites came from. The wind is set up good for that, but this sun and this heat, I think, has pulled a lot of the fish off the bank, and I may have to jump around and try and actually look for a couple fish off the bank on some of my schooling spots. They weren't there in practice for me, but I know that's how they're going to get caught. But my bluegill stuff, my shad spawn, like everything just fizzled out to almost nothing. And then I thought I could pick a couple up on the jig, and wasn't able to do that either. So just trying some of these outside grass points, and then going to make a move to some docks, and just I got to keep moving until they give me a sign. All right, we're trying.
Man, I'm no body language expert, but man, that's a lot going on. You know, just hearing him talk, rattling out all the different techniques and everything, it feels like you can feel the pressures on him.
You can, and it's just he summed it up. He said, "This is tournament fishing, and this is moments like this make you appreciate the moments like I was fortunate enough to be there at 10 Killer when he won that event and saw him catch a couple of those big fish, and you could feel and hear the passion in his voice and see his emotions. Moments like this makes those moments so special, and Carl will have more moments like that."
I talked to him about it literally this week, and he told me he's like, you want it to happen so bad, but it's almost the more you want it to happen, it's an oxymoron. You got to relax and let it happen, but it's hard to relax and let it happen with so much on the line. Yeah. But let's look back at 10 Killer. You know, when he first told me his slogan is "Fear My Heart," I didn't really get it. But man, this guy has lived up to that slogan. Sells "Fear My Heart" shirts, hats all around the world. And man, you better fear his heart, because what he lacks in experience and literally fishing for bass in years of experience, he gains with heart and work ethic.
He does, and you just learn to appreciate people's passion. And you see anglers out here, and they all have passion. You wouldn't get up at 3:30 in the morning if you didn't have passion for the sport. But you could just see a different level of it right there with Carl. And you have to love that. You have to appreciate that. I'm so proud I was able to be there and witness that moment just like you were, Dave.
An amazing, amazing moment, that win for Carl Jacobson. But hey, let's not focus on the tough things. Good things going on in his life. Just got his green card. 10 years fighting for it.
Speaking of good.
And speaking of good, Carl Jacobson hooked up.
It's a keeper.
Here we go, number 3.
Yes, buddy.
So what was the other good things happening in his life right now, Dave?
I mean, he got his green card after 10 years.
Okay,
He's
great.
pretty excited about that. I mean, I don't think people realize
all day. Oh man, he's only just. Oh no, he's all right. Number 3. We all use non-penetrating coal clips now. See that? It's just a pincher. Just pinches up underneath there. In the old days, you used to put a hole in there, so now it just pinches. That's from TH Marine Conservation Coal. Then when we let them go, they're healthy and exactly how we caught them, and that's how it should be. So we need to get rid of all of them by the end of today, but it's interesting what 5 fish can do, you know. If I can just have 5 for 10 pounds or something, right now I can relax and go and fish docks and throw my glide and just go for it a little bit more. It just helps you to really slow down, and I am fishing slow, but there's something about having 5 in there that really helped. But keep chipping away at them. I probably should just be throwing this jerkbait the whole day, but man, I just haven't had a good bite on it. So if I could catch one good one, help me stick it out a little bit more.
everything he says just sounds a little nicer. The pinza. Speaking of nice, let's go over to our defending classic champion.
So, got about 12 pounds. Lost one. That would have helped, but it wouldn't have been much. It'd help by about a pound. Zero shad activity this morning. The water is a bit stirred up. And I just got back to jerking. I caught my better ones this morning jerking, and I left to go to that top water for catch a big one. That obviously hadn't happened yet. But I don't know. It's another different day on Lake Guntersville. Every day's been different since we've been here, and this is the same thing. It's different. There was obviously a memo sent out that I didn't get because I hadn't seen any boats. So I'm sure they're all congregated somewhere, but that's okay. I think I'm going to get a big bite or two on the top water somewhere before we go in. At least that's the game plan. It's kind of disappointing, to want to know the truth. I mean, I've caught a few fish, nothing like practice. So I don't know. We'll keep running it around and fish to the last minute. Maybe I put my new jerkbait in front of a great big one, or the jaywalker in front of a great big one. See, See, like all these scattered
Davey,
clumps.
it feels like this season, this extended spring season, has made this one of the most educational years, just watching these anglers adjust and adapt during these events.
Yeah, and we mentioned when we opened that we've been to Guntersville this third time, in a year, but it's been a very different place every single time. The water is much clearer than it has been those other two visits, and a lot more vegetation, so it's fishing a lot differently than it has those last few events we've been here.
But one thing's guaranteed. You see that beautiful bridge right there? You're on Lake Guntersville, and somebody is going to catch a giant fish. It may not be one of our competitors. It might just be some local, but every time you're on Guntersville, they catch a giant off the bridges. Speaking of giants, your tournament leader right now, Caleb Kufal with 22 pounds, 4 ounces. Steve Kendi in second, and Chris Johnson sneaking around in the top 3.
You have a full-time job and you